Is this kind of just very obvious that players probably shouldn't have podcasts or do local radio stuff, and they probably should just stop talking publicly about things?
Yeah, players shouldn't be talking.
Players should not have a podcast, right? They just should not have it.
Whatever. Welcome, guys, to a special episode of Not Just Football. As you know, I'm your host, Cam Hayward, and you know my co-host, Hayden Walsh. But today, we have the famous world champion, Claressa Shields, on the show today to talk a little boxing, to also talk her new movie, The Fire Inside, which follows her journey to become a gold medalist. But we got to get started by going back to this past weekend. Hayden, what'd you think on the tube?
I thought it was great. I thought you guys got some revenge on Sunday. I know it wasn't a get back. It was a get right game is what we were saying. But I think it's always nice to beat a team that beat you a few weeks earlier. You got to feel really good. I thought you guys played a really complete game on Sunday.
Yeah, I thought we did a lot of things right on Sunday. Can't correct what we, it was more about correcting what we did than trying to get even. We have things we have to fix up for the foreseeable future, and it was a good step in, doing that. I thought the offense controlled the line of scrimmage. I thought we did a really good job. I thought our offensive line, went out and attacked. Going against, Myles Garrett in that group, I thought they did a pretty good job. I thought our running game, was humming, between Najee and Jalen. I thought they ripped off some really good runs. Russ had some good runs. Can't say enough good things about what the wide receivers did. Stepping out without GP, that's a tall task, but I thought we answered that. Van Jefferson get a touchdown. Mike Williams getting plays. Calvin Austin always being reliable. It was Pat Fryermuth also helping out as well. It was a wide receiver group that did it by committee, and we needed that. And on the defensive side of the ball, got some big turnovers, one by Keanu Benton. We'll talk more about that later. But, I thought we did a pretty good job. I think we had two plays where we could ask for back where, they either scored or had a big play on. But we did well in that, and then special teams, we get a turnover, which is always huge, and we hit our field goal. So, overall, good performance and a lot to take away from this game.
Yeah, I think the offense is where I want to start. You talked about George. Obviously, George is kind of a late game scratch. I think the way Coach T sounded, he thought he might be able to play that day, but he wasn't able to play. So for that group to kind of come out and actually play really well, I think I got 8 different guys caught a pass on Sunday. So Russell's really doing a good job spreading it around. But that group is taking a big, a lot of crap this year. If it isn't George, there's nobody else there. And they stepped up. Mike Williams with a big play. Scotty Miller with a few big plays. And in the blocking game too, man. Van Jefferson near the goal line. You got to give Russ credit. He's getting the ball out to everybody, even when George isn't on the field.
Well, I think the main thing we keep focusing on is we just want to win games. We don't care how it gets done. We have to find ways to win. It's not going to be the same every week, but if we approach it that way, then everybody can eat off the plate. And I think when you lose a star guy like GP, you got to be able to have different guys step up in different situations.
Yeah, and I thought some of the holes the offensive line was opening up were, really, really impressive. But I do want to go to the defensive side of the ball. I know I have a feeling where Keanu Benton's coming up later in the game. But as a vet, how cool is it to see him make that play? Because that's not easy for a young D lineman to kind of read the screen coming and then to finish the play, too, by catching it. Look at those hands.
Man, it was a beauty. I think we had a blitz on where Beanie Bishop was blitzing, so it kind of rushed the throw a little bit. But to track the ball, track the screen in general, and then go out, make the play, have the awareness to catch it, get a big return with it. I think that is one of the key plays that changed the game, provided a short field for our offense. We practice that, we work on it, but to see Keanu Benton step up in that moment was pretty cool.
Another guy who I thought stood out, and, Herbig's been amazing since this guy's been out, but Alex Highsmith. You really, sometimes I think he can get lost in the national media because he plays next to TJ Watt and Herbig's making plays. But, man, that guy from basically the opening snap on Sunday was everywhere, it felt like.
Can't discount that dude. We wouldn't bring a guy who we all didn't believe in back. And Alex has done it time and time and again. When he's out there, I think we're like 7-0 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So to have Alex back, he stabilizes the group. Now you got a four-headed beast between TJ, him, Herbig, and Preston Smith. So, pick your poison. But those guys, they're paid to rush the passer, and they can rush the passer with the best of them.
Yeah, it just seems like getting healthier on that side of the ball. And I know you don't like to talk about previous years, but this team feels as complete of a team as you've had in a while there. It just feels like you guys complement each other really well on offense and defense. And the special teams is the best special teams in the league. It's not even really close. But I did see when Pat punted the ball, he said somebody had to get fined because GP was out. Is that something you're going to take on next week? If GP's out, you're going to be the one to get fined for the offense? Maybe
Hell
you
no.
take it on the defensive side of the ball?
Hell no, we're keeping that money in my pocket. I can punt after the game. We ain't doing it in the game. If Pat's willing to give up some money, shoot, just go ahead and give me the money now. I think it was a cool thing you do once in a while, but it was it's not something we want to keep doing from here on out.
Okay, I will say this. If you score a touchdown this weekend, okay, and obviously you're a defensive guy, so it's a little long shot, you have to punt the ball into the stands.
No, I'm keeping the ball.
At least punt the ball then, not in the stands, but you have to punt it or do something cool because you owe us one. When you said you would do the handstand dance after a sack and you never did it because you got a sack that week and you didn't even do it.
Because the next play I had third down, bro.
No,
you can't be doing that right after.
You owe me and the fans a celebration. I don't know what it is.
I don't owe you squat.
You owe us a lot, okay? People were asking for it after that game. So I just want you to know you owe us. So if you score this week, okay, I get why you don't want to punt the ball. You need to keep it. But maybe pull a Sharpie out of the sock and sign it or something. I don't know.
I don't keep a Sharpie on me.
You have to get fined. I don't care what it is. You have to get fined.
No,
that is the rule.
No,
whatever
cool.
your celebration,
I don't need to get fined. We got kids we got to pay for.
No, you have to get fined.
Guys, we're not getting fined.
You owe the show this.
If the show wants to pay my fine, I don't know how that works because I'm paying for the show. So we need to work that out at a different time.
All right, we'll discuss how badly we want to get fined later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we move on though, we're recording this on Tuesday. You were a huge star on Hard Knocks last week. Your HBO debut. The family looked great. The food looked amazing. You were getting props on the turkey. Can you give us any spoilers? Or how was the experience of Hard Knocks for you?
It wasn't as invasive as I thought it was going to be. They try to stay out of the way for the most part, but there is some stuff we've had to cut because I don't know if it's appropriate for young viewers or viewers in general, especially my foul mouth. I had to tell my wife, I was like, I don't know what to expect. Like, I don't know if the kids can watch this, but it turned out great. It always works out good when you win. So, I think that's a big thing. If we can keep up this winning, Hard Knocks can stay around. But, I think it should be interesting to hear from a bunch of other guys too.
Yeah, I was really excited to watch last Tuesday because it was coming off a win, as I am tonight. But it is kind of funny. You're right, because it's like, man, if y'all lose, I don't really want to watch it. Even though I will say, I've never been a huge fan of Hard Knocks, but I did think that first episode last week was really cool. Did you watch it or no?
I watched it. We wanted to show the kids, and they got a chance to see it, and it was kind of cool. Like my kids seeing like what I do up close and personal, and so they got to see what the game looks like from a different level, and see all the communication that's going on, see the way we prepare, see it's funny. I feel like my wife has always told me, you just have fun at work. We have fun, but like there's a lot that goes into the game plan. There's a lot that happens throughout the week. And you're not seeing all of it, but you're seeing, bits and pieces. So, it's cool to share that with a lot of different people.
Yeah, it's great insight, but I also think it's so cool because it's like, obviously, I've been a fan of the Steelers my entire life. So I've seen Tomlin hit throughout his entire tenure, but to watch him kind of behind the scenes and the way you guys work in meetings and stuff, even everybody else is cool, but it's like, man, when that guy's talking, it's just, I don't know. I know how you guys get so pumped up for him. It's really cool to see. Has our boy Kuntz, is he just like long snapping right in front of the HBO cameras? Like, is he trying to get short time with a long snapper as an HBO segment? Is he taking that to HBO from us?
I don't know, but I think we should do like a where's Waldo, like where's Kuntz in every scene to see if we find him.
I'd love that.
And I think we should just pay attention throughout the Hard Knocks season and just watch how many times Kuntz pops up.
Okay, I have a good eye for these things. I'm pretty sure it was 0 on episode 1. Okay, so I didn't see him, I don't think, but I'll need to rewatch. But I will have a Kuntz calculator, Kuntz meter. How many times was he shown on Hard Knocks? Just hoping the guy gets one interview. Just give him one.
You know the guy I'm waiting for who needs to get interviewed? Chris Boswell.
Okay, so is he the breakout star here? Who is the guy for the Steelers that maybe the rest of the world doesn't know about yet, but will be a star on Hard Knocks?
Boz is not going to do it. Like Boz will refuse any type of media. That's just the way Boz is. You know, you got guys like Landon Roberts. I think Deshaun Elliott would be hilarious. And you know, I know it's the first episode, but there's a lot that people will like in that. I think it would be fun to just watch them like center in on what the tight end room really is like, because you got some interesting characters there. And I think there's a lot of stories in different rooms, because the QB room could be really cool to see Russ and Justin and Kyle Allen. You know, they all have their quirks, but I think that could be really fun to watch. You know, each room there's cats in every room.
So at the end of the day, it's Landon Roberts, Deshaun Elliott, and then go to individual rooms is what you're saying.
I think you can make a case for every one of my guys on my team. I'm gonna be honest, because there's quirks about each guy in that locker room where you're like, it's pretty fitting, but it could be made for TV.
Well, and everyone loves George Pickens, so I'm gotta imagine HBO's trying very hard to get him,
and we are trying very hard to keep him out of that.
Yes, I'm sure you are. All right, you want to go to 3 and out?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go to 3 and out. Let's start at first down here. Micah Parsons was furious last night after the Cowboys loss. I don't blame him for this. But there was a lot of camera shots of him on the sidelines looking pretty dejected and kind of like, if you're a body language guy, very bad body language. Where do you stand on this? Obviously, it was a pretty frustrating way to lose that game on the block punt, then lose it down the field. So is he justified in acting like this, or do you kind of got to hide that until you get to the locker room?
You're allowed to show emotion. Like, why should you apologize for Karen? You know, it should hurt. It should be, you know, something you can't live with. Otherwise, why are you playing the game? The only thing I had a question on as he was walking on the field was, who's grabbing his helmet? that, like, you know, there's somebody behind grabbing that helmet now. But other than that, I didn't really think it was that big of a deal.
Only you would not give a crap about what's actually like everyone's pissed about. And you're wondering where his helmet is. Like,
yeah, that's honestly all I was thinking about the whole time.
I guess here's where I'm at on it, because it's like, it was a really dumb play. It was a really bad play. Like, even people who don't play the sport know you got to get away from that football, dude. Yeah. Like, you got to get away from it. So I understand his frustration, but I kind of see this side where I'm like, dude, you can't show your teammate up on the sideline though, right? Like, you as a leader, you can't do that.
You can't do what?
I mean, he clearly was pissed off at the guy who just muffed the punt or fumbled the ball after they just blocked a punt.
So you can't be upset.
I mean, you can't.
It's an important game, like, bro. Like, you expect the guys just be like this and just be
I expect to get back to the locker room and then you start fighting back there. You just kind of wait, get out of the cameras. That's what I'm saying. There's a camera everywhere.
All that takes place is that. Is it really that big of a deal? You know, I'm sure they're around that guy who made the mistake, but you know, you're allowed to have a level of disgust with it. Like, Micah Parsons is a veteran in that group now. You know, if everybody follows and understands, we don't accept that type of play, so be it.
Well, and I think too, you guys live in a weird world where if he isn't showing emotion, then he doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
But if he is showing emotion, then he's showing his teammate up. So really, you can't make anybody happy here.
No.
So you don't have a problem with it though, him showing emotion on the sideline.
It's not like he berated the guy. Like, at least we didn't see it. But like, man, you're allowed to be upset about plays. Like, man. If I make a mistake, I'm pretty sure there's other guys rolling their eyes and pissed off. Like, you get it. That's part of the gig. A gig is a gig.
I know, it was just so public, and I feel like if people are talking about it, then it becomes somewhat of a distraction. But I'm hearing you on this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go to the second down here.
Second down, baby.
Monday night game last night. We're going to go back to it here. There was a Simpsons broadcast. Me and you've discussed these before off camera. I don't know if we've ever done it on camera. What was your take on the Simpsons broadcast, and did you and the kids enjoy it?
Kids didn't watch it because it's past bedtime like every other kid. I guess it's cool for a rewatch. But like The Simpsons, we couldn't do anything better. Do Marvel characters or do something crazy. Like, get outside of it. I feel like Simpsons was pretty safe.
Yeah, but it's also a generational thing. Like, do your kids watch The Simpsons?
No.
No, see, that's kind of my point. Like, I think they've done Toy Story before. They've done SpongeBob before. I still, though, like, what happened to just watching the game regularly? Do kids not do that anymore? Because, like, when I was, like, 8, 9 years old, I was watching just the game. I didn't need to watch the Simpsons broadcast, which was just confusing as hell.
Exactly. So I let my son watch the first half, and, he was glued on the screen asking questions. So I don't think you really need the Simpsons to help the broadcast.
Well, it's like, is watching Bart Simpson throw a touchdown to Lisa Simpson going to change anything? It's like, no, now you're just confused on who threw the touchdown pass.
I think he would be even more excited if it was Fortnite characters. I'm going to be honest.
So really what you're saying is they just picked the wrong thing. That if they had done, so you think he would be into it if it was Fortnite?
Of course. If they were all doing their dances, I think he would go crazy for it.
Man, I just hate that that's how we're bringing the youth into this thing. We can't just watch the games anymore.
I don't know. I don't make those decisions.
Well, you should start talking to people. I know you're in the PA, right? So it's like you should.
This has nothing to do with the PA. This has everything to do with the NFL, buddy.
The PA should put their foot down and say, we don't like being represented by cartoons. Okay?
PA says, just bring me some money.
Yeah.
So I can play these
I will say, if the Simpsons want to give you a piece, give the players a piece, you probably wouldn't care.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to third down here. So I don't know when he said this, but Brandon Graham was on a local radio station the last couple of days here talking about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's relationship. He kind of went into personal stuff and kind of spoke on the relationship and then came back and retracted and said he should not have done so. Is this kind of just very obvious that players probably shouldn't have podcasts or do local radio stuff and they probably should just stop talking publicly about things?
Man. Yeah, players shouldn't be talking. No, I'm kidding.
No, players should not have a podcast, right? They just should not have it.
Whatever. I think, you just keep it in house. I don't think there's like being respectful and having an opinion. I know BG's been the guy in that locker room that's kept the group together. I think he just wants the best for everybody. He wants the group to get back on the same page. And, it kind of got out there, but, he tried to retract the statement, but it was just a little too late. But, I think it's all about guys just want more. And in this game, guys want to succeed. You want guys to want more. You want guys to care more. Like, that's all it's about. I don't really, there's not bulletin material. It's just, man, if we want to win, there's a reason how we win, and both guys are responsible for that.
How awkward of a situation is that, though? Like the day after you make that comment, you think, and you walk in the locker room, like it's out there, like everybody knows. Like are guys kind of looking?
If you're a man, you just talk about it, like
you just address it immediately. Is this just the first thing you do?
Like, I wouldn't even wait till that. I'd be calling that dude up right now. Like that's just what it is. Like you have conversations, so be it. Like. I don't need everybody to like me, but we do need to be a team on this. Like, I made a mistake. Like, whoever's perfect in this game, I ain't seen them yet.
Well, I think it's also one of those things that, like, it was clearly something after the game. So, therefore, guys on the team are going to be asked about it too, right? So, it's like, goes back to, I think, you kind of saying keeping that stuff in-house, right, to where the media doesn't know where to ask. Because once you have that interaction with Brown and Hurts at the end of the game, everybody else is going to be asked about it from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
How often does the team kind of like say like, all right, everybody, we're not talking about this out. Don't talk about it. Does that happen a lot, or do they not really babysit you guys?
No, we don't do that.
They need to babysit you. Like I said, you get on your podcast, you talk crazy.
I do.
I know. It's just nuts.
It's what I do.
All right, let's go to fourth down here. Miller High Life, the beer, releases a dive bar perfume and it's already selling out. Would you buy a beer or a dive bar perfume for your wife or cologne for you?
No, that's disgusting. I don't
I
like
don't know
beer.
if it's disgusting. A dive bar,
I don't like beer.
well, it's not necessarily beer. It's a dive bar. So it smells like vomit, beer, liquor, vomit, more
No.
vomit.
The better question is, what product would you want as your perfume?
Oh, do you have one? Can I be honest with you? It's going to admit something here. When I was a kid, to my siblings, I smelled like syrup, and that really followed me throughout my entire life. It still does today. So therefore, I always over deodorant. I always over apply body wash because I don't want to smell like syrup. So syrup is not mine, but I just wanted to get that out there that my siblings used to say I smelled like syrup. You have a very judgmental look on your face that I don't appreciate.
I've never once heard this
It's
in all
true.
of our friendship.
It is true. It is true. I thought I've told you this before.
No, I
Yeah.
never
No,
knew. I never knew you were the syrup kid. You're like the stoop kid from Harold.
it's true. And then, so I used to think my siblings made it up. And then one day we were at like dinner and I was like 25 years old. And my sister said to my mom, "Hey, mom, do you remember when Hayden used to smell like syrup?" And she answered, "Yes, I do remember that," which I was like, totally shocked. So anyway, that's a long way back to what would be the scent you have. I think I have one, but what would be the scent you have?
Mine would be a Cinnabon,
Mm.
bro. Like everybody's been to the mall and you just smell the Cinnabon, and that is just like that's the smell everybody craves. Like that is a pretty unique smell, but that'd probably be mine.
I'm thinking same way. Warm chocolate chip cookie, like a baking smell, like like you walk into a bakery. That's
Like
the kind of smell.
like a syrup smell.
Well, no, not syrup, not syrup. Okay, not syrup. And then it's just like I'm like, why did I smell like syrup? If anybody knows why, please tell me. But yeah, smell like syrup, and eventually it wore off.
What deficiency did you have as a child?
I don't know. I'm thinking the same thing. Like I had like low iron or something, dude. I don't know what it was, but yeah. No, warm chocolate chip cookies, bakery. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else like you don't want to smell like a nice steak all the time, right?
No,
Like,
never. Apple pie.
Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich or Chick-fil-A. I mean, something like that.
No,
KFC. I don't know, like fried chicken,
no,
maybe.
no. I was thinking like a pineapple drink or something like tropical.
Okay.
Make you think, but
I
don't
think
want-
bakery though is where we're at. I think Cinnabon, warm cookie. Yeah, maybe an apple pie or something like that. Might not be bad. Yeah, no, that's not bad.
All right, now we're gonna move on to Sunday's game. We got the Eagles coming up. Mike T phrased it the right way. It's like the state championship of PA, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, so let me ask you this: what's the first thing? I feel like it's always the run game, but dude, they are very talented on the outside. So it's like you got to pick your poison. And also, how similar is this to Lamar and the Ravens, and maybe even what you saw from Jaden Daniels earlier in the year?
I think there's some similarities between them and the Ravens, but I just think this dude Saquon's on a different level than everybody else. This dude, he's jumping over people backwards. He's a highlight machine every week. It's a full-time job. He's running out of the backfield. He's catching out of the backfield. This is the most complete running back in the game right now. And we're gonna have our hands full, but I think we're up to the challenge.
Him and Derrick Henry alone have had to have saved the running back market, right? I mean, come on, look at the value with those two guys. I mean, that's one of the best offseason, signings or whatever it was of the offseason. I mean, I think that was huge. They have a great offensive line, and I'm sure you know that. And obviously you get up for every game, but you're facing one of the best in the league this week, right?
Yeah, as they're one of the best, O lines this week, we're one of the best D lines, and so. What happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? And so, we're looking forward to that task.
All right, tush push. Do you practice that? Do you practice stopping that? Or do you
How do you practice the tush push?
That's what I'm asking. I don't know. What do you do? You just say, hey guys, this is coming.
You don't do it in practice. You can't do a lot in practice. But hopefully we got a plan to stop it. But I can't leak the secrets.
Have you noticed it's as effective this year as it was as it has been with Kelsey in the past? Like, is it still an unstoppable
It's still
play?
effective. They, I think they're still having a great success rate at it. And so, the best way you stop it, this is, a secret. You don't let them get to 3rd and 1s.
I was going to say, it's what, like 3rd, 1, 2, you can't let them get to, right? Because, I mean, they can get 2 yards off it if they really thought they could get it. So, what's that atmosphere like? That place, we've always heard the horror stories of the jail in the bottom of the stadium, throwing stuff at Santa or booing Santa. Is that atmosphere any crazier than any other ones you go to?
I think they're a rowdy bunch, but, I think main thing I think about when I think about Philly is just Vince Papale. And, I don't really, the fans are, I know the fans were, mean to him at one time, but
that's the Mark Wahlberg movie, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Invincible.
Yes. Invincible.
But, they're fans. They're supposed to care. Like, we welcome it and we look forward to it.
Better movie, Invincible or Rudy?
Invincible.
Better movie, Silver Linings Playbook or Invincible?
Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, you love that movie. That movie's so trash.
I like the parlay.
It's so unrealistic. What bookie would take a bet on that? He parlays the Giants and Eagles game into a dance competition. That is insane.
Probably the bookie you hang out with.
No, I would not hang out with that bookie because that guy's a total scam artist. It's ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah.
But God, I knew you loved that movie. All right. Well, good luck this week in the Keystone State battle. I bring home that state championship. We need it. Okay. I mean, also too, can you maybe explain this to me? Why are you guys playing in Philly again this time? Didn't you play in Philly 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be their turn to head to Pittsburgh?
You think I would be complaining about playing in Philly with the way our schedule is right now?
Well, I mean,
we don't make those rules, my dog.
I had to be nice though. You didn't take the whole fourth quarter off, but I kept wondering why you were in the game because you do have a tough stretch coming up here starting Sunday of 10 games in 3 days. Not even take the opponents out. Are you conscious of that going into Sunday?
No, we try to win games.
Okay. Thanks.
We got to go.
I was hoping you were going to give some really great answer about like, yeah, I'm taking care of my body. I'm doing this. You're like, nah, I don't give a shit. So
no, we got work to do.
Let's just move on to TFLs and game balls.
TFLs and game balls. I'm going TFLs this week.
Start it off.
Because we got to address the debacle that happened last night. Let me set this up for you. So Bengals do a great job on their last defensive drive, before the second to last defensive drive, where they basically get a stop. It's 4th and 27. Dallas Cowboys are going to have to punt. And
Bengals are going to
punt. Wow, totally messed it up. Cowboys had a great series, setting up for a block punt. They blocked the punt. The Bengals then are all scrambling around. Cowboys try to recover it. It gets muffed, and then the Bengals end up recovering the ball, and they're back on the field again. Man, we talk about knowing the rules in special teams. Danny Smith, I am thankful for you because I know you have talked about that rule multiple times and made sure that everybody in that locker room knows what happens on any special teams play. But, man, that is a tough way to eventually set up a game-winning drive.
You have to assume they talked about that, right? I mean, every coach has to assume.
Yeah, but then you had a newer guy up this week, so maybe that wasn't addressed with him.
Yeah, but I hate to say it. If you're the newer guy up, it's kind of probably more on you to be even more on top of the rules then, right? Like that can't happen. You hate to say one play lost you the game, but one play lost them the game. I mean, their defense got the stop. Their defense had gotten, I think, back-to-back stops, and to lose it like that is terrible. All right, I'm gonna go. So it's weird. My TFL is going to be the playoff seeding, college football playoff seeding. We didn't get to talk a whole lot about that this week, but we talked about it before the show. And although the committee might be in my game balls here for leaving someone out, the seeding in this thing is horrible, man. Have you seen this? How they set up Ohio State and Tennessee to play Oregon? Don't love it. I also think the Penn State draw. What did Penn State do to earn SMU and Boise State in the first 2 rounds? I'm not saying they're going to win those 2 games, but I just thought the seeding was off. I think you need to reward teams like Oregon more. And I know maybe reseed after the first round. I don't know how you get away with it, but I hate some of these second round matchups. It feels like some people are getting a cakewalk and other teams are getting severely tested.
Well, I think it has to be reseeded, just like the NFL playoffs are. That way you reward teams like in Oregon for going undefeated throughout the season. I know they're still working out the kinks, but this is a pretty big kink to really kick off the college playoff.
That, and I'd say, and we talked about this before the show, just winning your conference championship does not guarantee you a bye.
Yes.
The buys should be given out. Now, here's the thing. Looking at the bracket, I don't know who I would give the bye to because I don't necessarily think Ohio State earned it losing to Michigan. I guess Tennessee maybe. I don't think Texas earned it. I don't think Texas has enough good wins to get the bye. So I don't know. It's tough, but I don't think winning your conference championship should get you a bye. Should Boise State have a bye? I don't know. And I don't know. But I think the seeding and how the games are matched up, I don't love.
Yeah. All right. My next TFL goes to. We're going to stay in college football, but the fact that offensive players duck their head. And then defensive players are flagged for targeting. If you watch that Georgia-Texas game, backup quarterback tries to scramble up the middle, and you see it clear as day. He lowers his head. The end result is his helmet pops right off.
He got destroyed.
But I'm like, one. Why aren't we penalizing an offensive player for doing that? Because one, he's hurting himself and he could be hurting somebody else. Why are we only penalizing defensive players? The system is flawed. I think it's really flawed when it comes to the targeting and then penalizing a guy for the next game. It's not enough to just make a mistake for some players with the targeting. Now we have to suspend him for another game that could be critical to their season.
I hate that rule. I mean, I agree with you too on the lowering of the head. I mean, it's not even quarterbacks, it's all offensive players. The receivers do it all the time. Running backs do it all the time. In fact, I think the only offensive player I've ever seen get in trouble for a hit like that is in the NFL game, and it was Jaylen Warren had a play on the sideline where he lowered his head and somehow he got fined $25,000 for that. But I agree completely, and I also think it's stupid that a kid gets suspended the next game. Like that, come on, what are we doing here? Totally agree, though. My next TFL is just going to go to the Atlanta Falcons. They've been on a serious skid the last few weeks, but man, their secondary got absolutely torched by Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. 8 for 133 and 3 touchdowns for Addison, and 7 for 132 and 2 touchdowns for Jefferson. They look really bad, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. I don't think you'll talk ill about a guy, but do they need to consider maybe seeing what Michael Penix has? Kurt's really struggled lately. They're kind of falling out of the playoff race. Do you make the decision? I mean, you've invested a lot in Kirk Cousins, but you've also invested a lot in Michael Penix.
I don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation. I just wanted to talk about, there was a play, Justin Jefferson. He had that corner all over the place. He had him diving for the earth. He touched earth on the play. It was disgusting. I know in that locker room they are talking hella junk because Justin Jefferson, it was a Houdini play. It was like he made the guy just disappear. That's all I had to say on it. I think there's going to be bad weeks. There's going to be bad games, but man, it's getting pretty rough for them over there.
It is. I don't know what they do. You've invested so much money in Kirk. You kind of got to let him kind of figure it out. But the problem is you got the 8th overall pick or whatever, just sitting on your bench, and it's just really tough. But you're right. I will say in that Justin Jefferson play, I didn't see him down there at first. So when the ball's in the air as a fantasy owner, you're just praying it's Justin Jefferson on the other end of it. And he was as open as he's ever been on that. I don't know how you let that happen.
You know what's even crazier? Atlanta could have drafted Brock Bowers.
Oh, well, they already got Pitts, though, which I don't blame them if they don't want to get burned on another first-round tight end again. Okay,
but have both of them. Imagine having both of those dudes.
I agree, but man, that's Bowers is awesome, but I do worry that Kyle Pitts can't get it going there. Maybe it's better for Brock Bowers that he ended up in Vegas.
Yeah, it probably is. My last TFL, I know a lot of SEC fans are going to hate this, but TFL goes to Alabama, man. not being able to make the college playoff. It's a little bit different when Nick Saban's not over there. Not everybody's feeling it, but losing 3 games, losing to Vandy, losing to Oklahoma, you kind of brought this on yourself, but high hopes for, what Alabama was supposed to do this season.
I think Bama only lost 2 games this year.
No, they lost 3.
Did they? Oh, they did lose 3 games. They did lose 3 games. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 losses. Never really understood the argument, to be honest with you, though, too. Lost to a terrible Oklahoma team, and I know Vandy won a few games this year, but losing to Vandy, too, is not good. I agree. They couldn't get in the 12-team playoff, but it's amazing how hard people were politicking for them to get in. My goodness. I mean, ESPN was trying very hard to convince us all that Alabama deserved to be in that playoff, and you're right. You can't lose 3 games. I mean, I don't know how else to say this. And, it's funny. They're all talking about they're not going to schedule anybody tough anymore. They lost all the games in their conference. They lost to Vandy. They lost to Oklahoma. It's like you losing to teams in your conference, not even your out of conference. So your out of conference didn't even matter. So I agree. That's a good TFL. And I'm probably going to cover that in game balls. But I have no more TFLs. You took one with the Cowboys, so we can go to game balls.
All right, game ball. I got to give a game ball to my fellow D lineman, Keanu Benton. First interception of his career. Great return, great awareness. Would love to see more for the celebration, but what a heck of a play.
Great play. I mean, and like I said, I go back to it, a big guy finishing the play by catching it too. Great snag, by the way. Great snag. You had to be very proud of that as a D-line guy, seeing him finish that play.
We work on catching the ball every week, and it was a really nice play.
It was awesome. I saw a clip on Twitter going around of him playing against the screen pretty consistently throughout the year, and he's gotten close a few times, and then he finally got that one. I think Beanie Bishop did help on that. But all right, I'm going to go Landon Roberts. On that play, there was a run play, a stretch play to the left where he hit 55 as hard as I've ever seen anybody hit. That guy's a heat-seeking missile. He's amazing against the run, and I am so thankful that I don't have to meet him one-on-one in the gap, because holy cow, that was a violent collision on that play. Landon Roberts, great job.
The 9-on-7 linebacker. That dude comes down and he lays the wood.
A couple great plays too on that 4th and 1 or whatever too. He slid in there and made a great play to tackle the running back behind the scrimmage too. He had a great game.
Yeah. All right, my next game ball. This is my final game ball. I don't have a lot. UNC. They finally have their head coach, and can. We didn't expect them to go this route, but kind of shocked college football a little bit. How do you go from Mac Brown, who's 85 years old, to now we go to Bill Belichick. He's getting up there in age as well, but I would love to hear the recruiting talks from Bill Belichick. That's going to be really interesting to see how he does with NIL as well. It's going to be fun to watch this team and hear the players talk about how Coach Belichick is.
What's crazy about this is I'm hearing rumors too, though, that he was negotiating that when he walks away, his son Steve becomes the head coach.
We make a big deal about LeBron and Bronny, but if you can do it, you do it. You put your family on, you take care of them. And so, Bill Belichick, you're doing right by taking care of your son.
How well does that go? Honestly, do you think? You think it goes good?
I just don't know how you deal with the NIL of it all. Man, I could just see Bill Belichick being the biggest film junkie, and he's wondering why players aren't there. And they're like, Coach, I got school. I do have to be a student athlete. And, I could totally see Bill Belichick being school first, football second. And so,
I see that. So that school first, school. Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, but he's not doing this, man, if he's not aware of there are limitations for what he could do. Also, I think a lot of college teams are going to having a GM on staff that can handle NIL for portal kids and for high school kids. How long can you really expect the guy to do it?
It's a different landscape. And so I really have to see how he does with the recruiting. This is way different than being drafted. You don't have the ability to say, "Hey, you're coming here," regardless of it. It's no, like I'm gonna look at my options. You have to appease the families. This is a lot more than just NFL football.
And I'll also say too, it's no longer kid commits to you, you got him for 3 or 4 years. If the kid's not happy with what he sees in the first 6 months, he can get in the transfer portal. I mean, look at how crowded the transfer portal is right now. Kids are transferring all the time. So he can't just be, the dictator out there. He's going to have to really work with them. So be interesting. But I think it's kind of good. It'd be kind of fun to see him in there.
Yeah.
All right, my last game ball is going to go to you, sir. 2 sacks on Sunday. You got Jameis Winston. We've talked about this before. He's one of the few Heisman Trophy winners that has been evading you. Now I think we're only down to Caleb Williams and Bryce Young, who you've not played yet. So every Heisman Trophy winner, I think in the last 15 years, you've gotten if you've played against him. So great job on Sunday, man. The fountain of youth has seemed to have gotten to you. You're having a great year. It's not over yet. But 2 more Sunday. You got Jameis like you said you would 2 weeks ago after that loss, and great game on Sunday, man. I'm proud of you. You looked good, and you look healthy. Comeback player of the year, baby. Let's start our push now. You qualify for that, right?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. Comeback player of the year. That's the most important thing this year for you, right?
No.
Yeah, comeback player of the year.
That's not even.
I saw too. You're not even going to go for a repeat of Walter Payton Man of the Year. What's up with that?
You don't get nominated.
Not even try to go repeat.
Once you're done,
You don't even try to repeat it. It's like, do you even care? Do you even care? You could have had 2 back-to-back Walter Payton Man of the Year. You just totally passed it off to Larry.
You know how hated I would be amongst my NFL community, where I just took 2 Walter Payton awards. I ain't trying to do that. It's cool to win the award, but there are a lot of deserving other guys out there.
Nah, you should win for a repeat. Okay, if you win the Super Bowl this year, I bet you're going to try to run it back, aren't you? Why don't you try to run it back for the Walter Payton Man of the Year?
Some different awards this year.
Okay, I like that. Comeback player of the year. Let's go. Let's do this.
We're not thinking big enough. Let's keep it going. All right, guys. Now we are joined by multiple-time champion Claressa Shields. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. How does it feel to have a movie made of your life?
To have a biopic about my life is one of those things where I'm just I get chills every time I hear it because, the first boxing movie that I ever watched was the Muhammad Ali biopic where Will Smith portrayed him. And me being a kid, I thought Will Smith was really Muhammad Ali until I got a little bit older and was like, oh my God, that's Will Smith. So, but he portrayed him so well. And it just shows that Muhammad Ali's life and how it went and what he went through. And it just gave me so much power being a young girl, being a young girl who was a boxer, and being truly inspired by Muhammad Ali. And now to be like, I got my own biopic. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I got a biopic just like Muhammad Ali.
Well, rightfully so. Talk about the process of making the film.
The process for the film, I can say, a lot of it got put on, Rachel Morrison, Ryan Destiny, Barry Jenkins. All I really had to do was have a talk with Barry Jenkins, read the script, okay the script, send back my changes, my notes, have a 4-hour talk with Barry Jenkins, and always in constant contact with Rachel. And I wasn't on set for any of it because why? I'm an active champion and I'm boxing, so it was like me and Ryan kept passing. It'd be like she would be in Flint filming. And then she'll be flying out and I'll be flying in. We would always in passing. I remember I got a phone call one time and they was like, are you in Flint running? And I was like, no. They was like, it got some girl out here who look just like you running on the street and it got cameras following her. And I was like, oh, that's Ryan. That means Ryan. So a lot of the movie was shot in my hometown of Flint, Michigan. And we never even got to meet. Me and Ryan Destiny met in person we had plenty of conversations before we met in person, but we met in person on her birthday. And I had just seen the entire movie by myself in a theater the day before. So could you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Talk about some pressure.
Yeah. So when she seen me, it's her birthday. We had never seen each other in person. And she's looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm coming to her birthday. And then my emotions just started going crazy. And I was like, you played the shit out of me. She was like, you liked it. I did a great job. And I was like, yes. And we both just started screaming. It was I wish somebody there had a camera to capture that. Like her mom was right there. Her mom seen me. Her mom seen her. And we were just like screaming like some high school girls. It was ridiculous. We did it for like 3 whole minutes. I was teary-eyed. She was teary-eyed. And we were just like so excited. Like the movie that she did very well and that she got my approval and that I loved how she portrayed me. And, you know, she was very happy, but that was our first time actually meeting each other. So imagine how much pressure had to be on her.
I couldn't even imagine that. Like I would love a documentary on my life one day or a biopic on my life, but like I couldn't imagine the pressure of someone having to play an athlete that's never done it before. That is incredible.
Yeah.
With Hollywood, was there anything you had to work back and be like, we're not changing this?
What do you mean?
With the script, was there anything you were just like, we can't budge on this? You know, I understand there's, you know, freedoms to change, but was there anything you were like, we got to keep this in?
Honestly, listen, Barry Jenkins is a great writer. It's the reason he has all his awards and his accolades. I can say that, you know, after having my 4-hour talk with him and me and him actually talking and meeting each other, you know, he wrote the script. He sent it to me. I read it. I actually called, I called a friend of mine, Tasha Smith, and I asked her, like, how do you read a script? Like, how do you do this? And she told me how to do it. So I read the script and I put myself as much into the script as I could because I'm not an actress, so I don't know, you know. And she just was like, remember which character you're reading and always put yourself in a room and a surrounding, and that's how you follow what's going on. Like read the fine print when it goes to the next scenes and things like that, because I didn't know. It's not like reading a script, it's not like reading a book. It's way different.
Right.
You know, so thank you for Tasha Smith for that. And I read it and I understood what was going on. And I think it was only one thing in the script that I told Barry absolutely had to go.
What was that?
Yeah.
I can't even tell. But I will say that he was respectful of it. He understood. And I understand it's Hollywood and you got to make these stories be spicy and juicy. I get it.
Right.
But I'm big on integrity. I'm big on my family. I'm big on my boxing. And I just was like, one, it's not true. But then two, you know, I just don't think that it serves a purpose in being in the script.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
So, but he was okay with that. And the script, A-okay, great with me.
I love that.
And we did have a talk about one more thing. And I think that people will see it in the movie Christmas Day. I can't tell the movie, but you know, I had a moment where I disliked my gold medal because of how hard I worked for it, and I didn't receive any sponsorships, endorsements, and things of that nature, cereal boxes, magazine covers, whatever, you know. And I remember as a young girl feeling very, you know, I was a young girl, I'm 17 years old, even though boxing is a very tough sport and we're all supposed to be so strong and super women and Superman, whatever. A young girl has feelings, and my feelings was hurt that I seen other athletes on the cereal boxes and magazine covers who I had brushed shoulders with and gave hugs to at the Olympics, and we were fans of each other. So to see them get recognized and me be left out, you know, as a young girl, it was hard for me to deal with, and it did hurt my feelings, you know. And I was so happy for the other girls, but it did make me look in the mirror and look at what I was doing. Like, what did I do wrong to not get, you know, to not be recognized? You know, what did I do wrong? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not, how do you make boxing a pretty sport? Like, I can't smile after I punch somebody and make a pretty pose, how do I be recognized? And I just remember being a young girl and feeling like I just was misunderstood and people didn't care about how great I was of a boxer. And I remember it was very challenging to deal with, but it has a part in the movie where it like shows that, and they created this scene of that. And I think the scene was like kind of how like Muhammad Ali threw his gold medal in a river.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scene similar to that.
Mm.
All
right, well, I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Now I got an insider for that. Okay. Aiden, was something you want to ask?
I'm curious. So you mentioned Ryan Destiny earlier, and Cam and I always talk about these shows or these movies where someone plays somebody. How important was her to see how well she jabbed or well she moved so it was accurately portraying you?
Listen, I was not playing about that. I'm sorry, you guys. You guys know how I feel about me. I am the greatest woman of all time. This is not a Rocky movie where we got rock 'em, sock 'em robots type of style. I'm very dominant. I win fights. I box very well. We're going to show my skill set in there. Period. Yeah. I was very big on that.
So did you get like her said you film of like throwing a jab or like in the gym working, or like how did you know she had the movement down?
Well, Ryan Destiny told me when we first talked on the phone, she had never been into a fight. And she had never been into a pushing war. I was very worried. Because so first we get on the phone. I said, hey, girl, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. You're depicting me in the movie. She said, yes, I'm so nervous. I said, you ever been to a fight? She says, no. I look at her and I say, okay. In my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, this is terrible. And then I say, okay, you ever been in a pushing war? Anything? She's like, no. I'm like, oh.
And then
I'm like sweating bullets under my shirt, but I'm trying to stay calm and talk to her. And I'm like, okay, so what are you gonna do about the boxing? do you need me to come train you? What do you need? Tell me what you need. And we're gonna, because it was very important to me for that to be, it had to be spot on for me. I just was like, listen, I'm a gold medalist and this is a sports movie and this is a sports biopic, but it's also a lot of my life in it. But boxing matters so much to me. So when she told me, I have a trainer and I've been taking protein, I've been running and I've been doing my crunches and, I've been, watching your stories or some of your workouts. Like I've been transforming my body. Like I've been working very, very hard. And when I heard that, I said, that's a good start. And I trusted her to be an actress, and I've seen some of her work before. And I knew that this would be a hard role for her to play because of who I am and how my attitude was back then and how my attitude is now. And I just was like, you know what? I'm going to put my trust in her and my trust in God. And if she needs me for anything, she'll call. And she called me a couple times and I answered. I gave her my best advice and turned out very well.
I love that. I love that. The movie comes out December 25th. And we'll keep plugging it because The Fire Inside, I love that title. That is a dope title, I gotta say. Did you have any say so on the title?
I did.
You did?
So when they changed the name from Flint Strong, Rachel wrote me and she said, Claressa, we're trying to find a new title for the movie. And she said, can you just tell me how you felt when you seen it? And I gave her a few things. Like I felt like it showed my resilience. It showed that never quit attitude. It showed how, how the doubt was like flame to my fire. People doubted me, And she was like, okay, thank you. And then she came back. She said, okay, these are our options. It's probably about 2 or 3 options. And I remember saying, The Fire Inside sounds like a perfect one. And she was like, we all thought that. We all thought that as in people in the film world. And I said, that's not a good one to me. But whatever you guys pick, you guys know better than me. But that one sounds great, And all of a sudden, here we go. The Fire Inside. And when you watch the movie on Christmas Day, which I encourage not only for grown women to go see this movie, but grown men with little girls, girls who would go through problems at school, girls who just, it is a story that will ignite the fire inside of everybody. I don't think it's a person that it won't touch.
Mm.
I really don't think that. And I think that the world needs more stories like that. You know, people, athletes like to overlook when we become famous that we had a struggle, that we went through something. And I think that sometimes the fans only see the glitz and the glamour, so they don't, so they feel like they have to quit because, oh, this person didn't go through that. LeBron didn't have this type of upbringing. LeBron didn't go through this. Oh, I should just, but it's like, no, actually, some of the greatest athletes in the world have went through extremely hard times. And even though for us moving forward, we try to put it in the back of our head and we don't want to acknowledge it, but actually acknowledging it and letting the world know that we went through that gives the world power of others who are feeling like they should quit or give up or feeling worthless and feeling sad. It gives them that courage to keep going. So for them to see, like, look at what she went through, and they may be going through less. This is to show you that, listen, if I went through all this as a 16-year-old and 17-year-old girl and I still made it to where I am now, what's your excuse for quitting? You know?
Was it hard or therapeutic reliving it and rewatching it on this big screen?
I don't know. Listen, I have seen the movie 6 to 7 times now, all the way through. I don't get up. I watch the entire movie every time I see it. And listen, I cry my eyes out every time.
I love it. I love
It's
that.
not a time that I don't. Like, you would think after seeing it so many times, like, okay, I know this part is coming, you know, toughen up, don't get emotional. Every time I watch it, I'm bawling, you know, and it's not like a sad cry. It's more like, oh my God, look how far you made it. You ought to be, you know, just shouting to God every second you get, you know, like, your story is so resilient and so powerful. But when I see the part of me as a kid and what I had to go through, when I see me winning the gold medal in the movie, I just cried. I just cried. and I told Ryan Destiny in LA, I said, don't sit next to me. I told her that. Guess where she is sitting? Her and Keith. Right behind me.
Right next to you.
Right.
And I'm sitting there crying. It's the gold medal part, and you have to watch it, but you see the family and you see me, and I win the gold medal, and I'm just crying, and I'm sitting in my seat like, oh, I'm grabbing my eyes like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden I feel some arms wrap around me.
Wow.
And it's Ryan, and she was like, oh, you're crying, Claressa. Oh my God, I told you not to cry. You don't sit next to me.
I love it though. That's awesome.
Like a baby. So it's therapeutic, but it's also triggering in a good and a bad way, you know, because I'm still going through some traumas that I have to get through from my childhood as I'm grown now. And I haven't gotten through all of them. Now I have gotten through some, but there are some parts that I see and it's still kind of triggering, but it's like, you know what, it's my life and I made it through it, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't still affect me now and that it don't hurt. It still hurts like hell.
Well, I can't wait to watch. I want to make sure to ask you though, as we're looking through your eyes, we got to ask about boxing today. What do you think about sport? We got to ask about boxing today. And,
okay.
And I want to ask, what do you think the world of boxing is today?
Okay, Claressa, be nice.
Or no, be honest. Just be honest.
Be honest. We love it.
Be honest. You don't got to be nice. Be honest.
The world of boxing today is mixed with foolery, and we have some great fights every few months. So we are getting the fights that we want, but it is some Connery stuff going on. So it's a mixture to me. And I just try not to be a part of the circus, but I feel like sometimes I get dragged right on into it because of who I am and, my loud voice and my opinions. But right now, boxing is not in a bad place. I think it's in a good place. But we do have some foolery involved in it. And I don't know if I wish the foolery would go away or if I just need to ignore the foolery and just focus on my career. That's what I try to do. Focus on my career, knowing that I'm not a part of that foolery and that, focus on winning more world titles, fighting the best, respecting those who do fight the best and giving props where it's due. That's kind of what I try to focus on. But right now, boxing is kind of, it's in a mixture, but it's still in a good place. And I'm happy that a lot of these fighters are getting their viewership and getting the money and getting the recognition that they deserve. And I'm happy where women's boxing is. I think it's only going to get bigger. And I'm just happy to be a woman fighter right now in this era, because I don't think the last era of boxing would have had appreciated me.
Yeah. What did you think about, I thought the best fight of the Tyson and everything, I thought the best fight was the Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. How did you think that fight was?
Absolutely. I agree with you. What other fight can you put over that? Listen, first and foremost, there are networks that will not put me under men or under certain men fighters because I will steal the show. That is a goal to do that.
Right.
It's not that I don't like the men fighting above. It's just to show that women's boxing has always been very entertaining. Mm-hmm. We always have had the best fights. 2 minutes or whatever you want to call it. We have the best fights. We stand toe to toe. We fight. We brawl. We give you a show. Sadly, Amanda Serrano and Katie are each other's kryptonite to each other. Both of them are super women, but they both have kryptonite. So you have a fight where sometimes a fighter puts up the kryptonite and then she puts out her kryptonite, and you're like, oh, we're both just very. Their styles is meant to make a war for each other. Every fight. So that's what you're going to get. And those girls gave that. I hate that the headbutt was the topic of the fight when so much violence and so many punches was involved in the fight. Like, yeah, the headbutt happened, but Amanda is a Puerto Rican warrior. Katie is an Ireland warrior. You had two women in there who had no back down from each other. And I think Katie was a smarter fighter, but man, was Amanda Serrano strong as an ox.
Yeah.
Her punches hurt. When she hit Katie first round and Katie got whopped in that corner, I said, oh, shit.
My wife was like, I got to turn because I'm not feeling good just through the screen.
It was a very exciting fight. And I wore my glasses to make sure I didn't miss a second of it. And because I wear prescription glasses, so I can't see far.
What do you think about the officiating?
You can't say that when you're a boxer. You can't say that when you're a boxer.
Everybody is close to me.
Yeah, she's close.
I got the perfect sport.
Claressa, what do you think about the judges, though? Did they get it right? Did Katie Taylor win that fight?
You know what? From when I was there watching the fight, being a fan, knowing that most of the fans there were rooting for Amanda Serrano because of the MVP promotions, I would say that I did think that Katie won the fight, only because she started adjusting later on in the fight. I think Amanda was doing pretty well at the beginning of the fight, and they had some swing rounds in the beginning. But it was like as the rounds went on, you seen Katie get hit less and less, and she made her miss some. She was throwing her 3-4 punch combination that was landing on Amanda. It would be different if they were missing, but Amanda, sometimes she's so aggressive and trying to get the body shot that she kind of leaves herself open up top, and she don't have great defense sometimes. And she was taking those shots like a champion and giving them back, but sometimes she was getting turned, and Katie was throwing a hook and getting her off the center and making her miss. And to me, she was doing great counter punching. Now, was she the stronger fighter? Absolutely. Amanda Serrano was is way stronger than Katie Taylor, 100%. But I think skills won that fight that night. And if Amanda would have continued to cut the ring off, had a little bit better defense up top, and had better precision with her punches, she would have won. So in person, I thought that the decision was right. And then as I went home and I watched it with no volume for the 10 rounds, I was like, you know what? This fight could have been a draw, but still being a draw, I mean, both girls won or lost, however you want to put it. And then, if they wanted to give it to Katie or to Amanda. So I wouldn't have been mad at either decision. But from my eyes, from my knowledge, I thought that Katie had won the fight. But hey, they're going to have a trilogy, and I'll be there watching that fight too.
I want to get back to you because we need to make sure we focus on you.
Yeah.
Is your next fight going to be boxing or PFL?
Boxing.
Okay.
I plan on having 3 boxing matches this year. Even though people don't really look at me as that all the time, but I am a woman, and I want to have some kids 2026. I want to have a kid at least. I've been wanting to have a kid for a while now. I haven't focused on it, but I feel like I've accomplished enough and I'm comfortable enough now to have my first child. So 2026, I want to have a baby. And even though Chris Cyborg announced I was pregnant yesterday on Twitter, that's not the announcement I have. I actually have a fight announcement very, very soon, and I'm very much not pregnant. So,
so she needs to slow her roll.
Yeah, chill out. 2026 announcement.
I think it was her way of like trying to call me fat, but I looked very good in the picture. And I think she's just mad that I'm a bigger woman that got curves and she don't have no curves. So I think that's what happened. But here and there with Chris Cyborg, she's a hater. But I'm very much not pregnant, and I have a big fight announcement coming up very, very soon with the very tough opponent who I am not overlooking because she is a big, solid girl. I'll be fighting back at heavyweight in February, and that announcement will be very, very soon.
Okay, last question. I saw you're a Detroit Lions fan. Is that right?
Yes.
What are you expecting the Detroit Lions to do this year?
Listen, we are going to the bowl.
You calling it right now?
We are going to the bowl, man.
Okay, you go to the bowl.
You going to go to it? You going to be in
New
Orleans?
I'm cool.
You going to be in New Orleans for it, Claressa? You going to go to it?
If the Detroit Lions go to the bowl, which I believe that they will, I will 100% will be there. Matter of fact, I got my Detroit Lions. I got me my own little jersey that they gave to me, and they got Shields on the back with the number 7. Listen, I am a Detroit Lions fan. Let me go and tell you something.
We can make you a Steelers fan. We can make you
my dad. Huh?
We can make you a Steelers fan.
Listen, my dad has been a Detroit Lions fan since they went 0-10. This is years. I mean, probably a decade or so back. My dad, the year after that, my dad said, I'm still not switching teams. I'm a Detroit Lions fan till I die. My dad been a Detroit Lions fan this entire time when they were losing and winning games and then losing at the last minute. My dad was a Detroit Lions fan, so I know he's having a ball every Sunday right now.
I know he is. Well, that's awesome. I want to say thank you so much, Claressa, for coming on. Everybody, make sure you watch The Fire Inside coming out December 25th, Christmas Day. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me, man. Send me some of these clips.
I got you. All right, and that's been another episode of Not Just Football. I want to say thank you to Claressa Shields for coming on. Hayden, thank you for coming on. And we will see you next week, and should be fun. Appreciate you. Like and subscribe.